Evaluation, question 4 and 5. Who would be the audience for your media product and how would you attract and address your audience? When researching my target audience, I looked at Kerrang! Magazine's readership statistics and the typical profile of their reader. Seeing as though Kerrang! Is a magazine very similar to mine, I knew that my statistics and target audience would be similar. This allowed me to identify my audience as boys and girls aged 16 to 24 with disposable income falling into the category of ABC1. My magazine targets the subcultures of emos, scene kids, rockers, metalheads and those who are similar. Using social networking sites and my own knowledge, I was able to discover what made those typical subcultures who they were. So I started to think about the places they would eat, the hobbies they would participate in, the bands they would listen to and what clothes they would wear. Imagine the entity, Yenang, 1991. When creating my magazine, I included lots of things from my audience profile, therefore I would be able to create a magazine which would appeal to my audience. I also looked at a lot of existing metal and rock magazines to see how they attracted and addressed their audience. I attracted and addressed my audience on my front cover by creating a house style which immediately connoted my genre of rock and metal. I particularly use colours such as red, black, white and yellow. They are all basic colours but are all associated with the genre. The colour of red and yellow helped me to catch my audience's attention as the bright colours would be noticeable from a distance. They also stood out from any other colour on the page, forcing the reader to look at it. The colours I used are stereotype of my genre as they are bold, masculine and aggressive, which connotes the genre of metal and rock. If I used dull or boring colours, my targeted audience of male and females 16 to 24 wouldn't be interested in reading my magazine, and they certainly wouldn't find it interesting. So it was very important I chose the colours I did, or else my magazine would not target my audience at all. Furthermore, I've attracted my audience by using a model who represents my chosen genre. He is stood directly engaging the reader with his eyes and his finger pointing directly at them. It is almost like the reader is invited to read more about his feature inside the magazine due to the gesture he is making. In addition, I have also used various cover lines to draw in my audience, such as the fact he has tattoos, he is wearing dark clothes and has fairly long hair would cause my audience to see him as an ideal self, Carl Rogers 1980, as he fulfills our basic expectations of a stereotypical metal and rock frontman, which is who you would expect to see on the front cover of a metal and rock magazine. He could be seen as a role model because he is a musician who is in a band touring the world. My audience may look up to him and want to be just like him, however my readers may also see him as attractive, so my main cover image attracts the reader as they are intrigued by his looks. My masthead also helps me to attract my audience, as it is much like typical existing metal and rock magazine mastheads. It is big and bold, meaning it is not hard to look at, which would pull in my readers and make them look at my magazine whether they like it or not. My masthead not only stands out but it signifies my genre too. Additionally, I also targeted and addressed my audience on my contents page as I included a competition in the bottom right corner, which is giving my readers a chance to win 2 tickets to go see a band who is very popular in the genre of metal. This would attract my subcultures, as when I researched about them, I learnt that fans of metal and rock enjoy going to gigs, therefore it would be an ideal competition to put inside my magazine. Also, the band is popular, and it is a popular band which would attract my reader to want to read my magazine, which is why I included them in the competition. I further attracted my reader with the photos I used. It gives my audience an insight to what is inside my magazine, and most importantly, what is inside my main article. Altogether, I used 3 photos, not including my competition. Each photo served a different purpose. Each photo had a bright yellow box around them to draw the reader's attention in, and to create a form of house style to give them importance. The photo of my model Josh was used to attract my readers to my main article, which is why it is the largest image on the page and why it is placed at the top. I wanted to reiterate the fact that his interview was the highlight of my issue. The fact this image has been enlarged and placed at the top of my page would attract my reader to look at it, as it is bigger than anything else on the page. But also it would be the first feature my audience notices. The other 2 images I used were of my review sections. In particular, I wanted to give the sections a sense of importance, but not as much as my main article. Both images are used to represent popular bands which would attract my target audience because they only want to read about the best. And since my magazine appeals to a mass audience, I needed to include the best bands. Under each image is a caption clearly showing the importance and purpose of each image. For example, under my image of Josh, it states cover story without perception, indicating to my reader this is the cover story, giving it a further sense of importance. Fonts also allowed me to attract my reader, as the majority of fonts which I used were bold. The benefit of this was identified to my audience which sections and content and articles are important. If something is in bold, then they are going to look at it. My double page spread also attracts and addresses my audience, as once again I have used the same colours, model and fonts to attract my audience, which is much like my contents and front cover. The background I have used draws in my attention as it is grungy and destroyed, which links back to the idea of metal and rock being an aggressive genre of music. The background also prevented my double page spread from being dull and boring, as it is eye-catching. I also attracted my reader with the mode of address which is used during the interview. The address used is peer-to-peer, so it is just like a conversation, which makes the reader feel involved. The fact it is written like this would attract my reader to read the article.